There is a moment, you've probably felt it, when words run out. When the problem is too big, the pain too sharp, or the situation too far beyond your control. And in that moment, something in you reaches. Maybe you don't even call it prayer. Maybe you just call it desperation. But you reach. And that reaching? That is where prayer begins. Welcome. If you found this video, I believe it's not by accident. Today I want to talk about something that I think the church has sometimes made too small. And that is prayer. Not prayer as a ritual. Not prayer as a checklist. Not prayer as something you do on Sunday mornings while someone else leads and you follow along. I'm talking about prayer as a living, breathing, borderless conversation with the God of the universe. Because, here's what I've come to understand. Prayer doesn't have a passport. It has no zip code. It doesn't require a certain language, a certain posture, a certain building, or even a certain level of spiritual maturity. Prayer is not reserved for the theologians or the pastors or the people who seem to have it all together. Prayer is for the broken, the busy, the confused, the doubting, and the desperate. Prayer is for you, exactly as you are, right now. We often think of prayer as something that happens inside four walls. We picture a quiet room, a candle maybe, a Bible open on a desk, and yes, that can be prayer. But consider this. Jesus prayed in a garden, sweating drops of blood. He prayed on a mountain in the cold hours before dawn. He prayed on a cross. He prayed in crowds. He prayed alone. He prayed in joy and he prayed in agony. There were no borders to his prayer life, because for Jesus, every moment was a moment of communion with the Father. And that is the invitation for us. Paul wrote to the Thessalonians, pray without ceasing. 3 words, pray without ceasing. Not pray when it's convenient, not pray when things are bad enough, not pray when you've run out of other options. Pray without ceasing. That's not a command to kneel every hour on the hour. It's an invitation into a posture, a way of moving through the world with your heart always turned toward God. It's the difference between prayer being an event and prayer being a lifestyle. What does that look like practically? It looks like the commuter whispering thanks under their breath when the train arrives on time. It looks like the mother in the hospital hallway. Not elegant words, just God please. It looks like the young man staring at a job offer he doesn't know how to navigate, just saying, I need wisdom here. It looks like the person who has been hurt by the church, who can barely hold faith together but still, in the quiet, finds themselves saying, I don't know if you're there, but if you are, I need you. All of that is prayer. And none of it has a border. One of the most powerful things about prayer is that it crosses the borders that divide us from one another. Right now, as you watch this, someone in Lagos is praying, someone in Seoul is praying, someone in Sao Paulo, in Jakarta, in Nairobi, in Oslo, on their knees in a car, in a hospital, in a church with no roof and cracked floors, is praying. And the God who hears them hears you too. The same Father, the same throne. No hierarchy of access. The ground at the foot of the cross is level. That should change how we think about intercession, praying for others. Because when you pray for someone in another country, someone you've never met, someone whose language you don't speak, you are participating in something supernatural. You are agreeing with heaven on their behalf. You are standing in the gap across an ocean, and God honors that. The border doesn't stop the prayer. The prayer goes where borders can't. And I want to say something to someone who may be watching this and feeling like their prayers aren't working. Like you've prayed and the ceiling feels like concrete. I want to be honest with you because you deserve honesty. Prayer is not a vending machine. It is not a formula where you input the right words and the right outcome drops out. Prayer is a relationship. And in relationships, sometimes you don't get what you asked for. You get something better. Sometimes you don't get an answer. You get a presence, and sometimes that presence, that sense that you are not alone in the middle of the worst thing that's ever happened to you, is the miracle. The disciples came to Jesus with one request, not teach us to heal, not teach us to preach. They said, Lord, teach us to pray. They had watched him. They'd seen what prayer did in his life, the clarity it gave him, the power it produced, the intimacy it reflected. They wanted that, and he didn't give them a complicated religious system. He gave them a conversation. Our Father. 2 words that collapse every border, every hierarchy, every sense of unworthiness. Our Father. You are his child. You belong there. You have access. So I want to leave you with this. Wherever you are watching from, whatever is on your plate today, however long it's been since you really prayed, not performed, not recited, but really prayed, I want to encourage you to do it today. Not perfectly, not with all the right words, just honestly, just from wherever you actually are. Not from where you think you should be, Prayer without borders means there is no situation too messy, no distance too far, no heart too cold, no past too complicated. You don't have to clean yourself up to come. You don't have to have enough faith to come. You just have to come. And He will meet you there.